Hey guys, so today we will be working on a comic page for Spice Cake. This is going to be a speed paint video, obviously, with a little bit of voiceover, as you can already tell. I haven't filmed like an art video or a speed paint video in a very long time, so I apologize in advance about the voiceover. I recorded this speed painting page, and after that I put it into my Premiere Pro, and I'm editing it. I wanted it to have like voiceover, but then I didn't know what to talk about at all, so I'm just pressing record. We're gonna wing it. I'm gonna chat to you about, I guess, what I'm working on, which is a comic page for my comic Spice Cake. First of all, if you have been watching my videos for a while, like following me, I've been on YouTube for a little bit now, and I used to like work on this comic called Spice Cake, and I worked on it on and off a lot. I redrew it over and over. I introduced it as a video a couple times. I wanted to do like a whole series on this like Spice Cake comic, and then it kind of died. And now I'm pulling it back up again from my hard drive because I really like the idea of this comic. I think I liked what it represented. It's kind of like my comfort idea comic. I've always wanted to do long form comics, but I felt like my story writing is not really there yet. That's why I always stuck with, shorter horror stories and stuff like that I've been working on for quite a while. I feel like with the stuff that I've done, my horror comics, my shorter ones, maybe this time around I have a little bit more practice and a little bit more experience into, writing something a bit more long form. I'm still a little bit afraid of it, but Spice Cake has been like with me for so long, like in the back of my mind. Like I've always wanted to restart it. I've always had this story of these two friends who are, similar and very different, and I wanted to do like short adventures with them. And I mentioned it a little bit in the previous vlog, but when I was growing up, well, I guess teenage years, I would go to the library all the time, and I would borrow books. I would borrow manga. One of my favorite mangas is Ranma by Rumiko Takahashi. I read a lot of the volumes. I never read through all of them because I was only limited to what I could borrow at the library and what was available. But that art style, or her art style and her storytelling, especially in Ranma, really influenced me a lot in terms of like stories and fun and expressions and comedy. I haven't read it in a long time. I have been debating on buying a couple volumes and maybe starting a small collection of the Ranma mangas because they've been really influential to me. I don't even know exactly, other than the main plot line of it, I don't know like the beats of the story. There is a animated show that I watched I think I watched 1 or 2 episodes when I lived in the Philippines, and it was dubbed in Tagalog, but I'd rather read it than watch it. And I've always, Yasha, I had more access to it when I lived in Canada, but it never really drew me in as Ranma did. I think it was because Ranma was a bit more adult, and I kind of liked that more than Inuyasha was. But I don't know. I guess I'm just talking a little bit about the influence of Ranma. After reading that, I really wanted to create something fun, lighthearted, and as my, skills, I guess, in comic writing, and especially the short horror, I wanted to incorporate that kind of vibe of fun and lightheartedness. Ranma can be serious at times, but also I wanted to incorporate that feeling with horror. So this comic, Spice Cake, will have some horror elements. As you can see, I'm drawing my character. His name is Abbott, and he's eating 2 slices of pizza. So there's some kind of like creepiness about him. He's not totally human. Well, he's not human at all. And Stella, the girl in this comic, is totally human. I don't want to tell you too much of the story yet because I'm kind of working up to it. I want to put something down on like paper beforehand before I start telling you really what it's about. I have like the main ideas of who they are, where they come from, their like origin story, especially Abbott. But I want to do like a character sheet, like in those old mangas. I think many mangas. I haven't read a manga in a long time. I know they're still they print a lot of new mangas nowadays, but I just haven't been keeping up with it. But especially in Ranma, and I think Dragon Ball they did it too, but they would have like pages where they would introduce the characters, like with little snippets in their little portrait, and they would even include, the author would even include a little snippet about him or themselves. So I kind of want to do something like that before I start really talking about the comic Spice Cake. But you'll see, if you read it, it's available to read on Webtoon and on Tapas Comics. I did put a little blurb about it, but basically the story will center around Stella and Abbott, the two main characters here, and then later on my cat character Kevin. This is where he came from. I draw Kevin a lot. I'm even made shirts of him. He's this purple cat character. I've made stickers of him and stationery of him, but he gets introduced in the story a little bit later on, not too far from these pages. So my goal with Spice Cake, I'll show you a couple of like old pages from the very beginnings of when I was starting this out. I've been working on this thing since the end of university. Towards the end of my university, I came up with this idea. I wanted to do a long form comic inspired by my love for Ranma and more lighthearted, mangas like that, comedy, especially slice of life. So I have a lot of iterations of the style I wanted to go for, but for the most part, Stella, my character, has remained what she looks like, and so has Abbott. I changed his hair a little bit this iteration. Now he has a mohawk, which I think really fits him. Sometimes he also looks like a goat, so there's that whole aspect too. Maybe you can tell, just like he might be a demon, who knows. But yeah, I'm really nervous about doing something like this that's a little bit more character driven, because a lot of my horror comics are not character driven. They revolve around, characters that are only introduced in a couple pages and their arc is very short. But this time around with Spice Cake, I'm very attached to these characters and I've given them personalities and backstory. So it makes me a little nervous. It's like I'm opening up my soul to you guys more than what the short horror comics do. So they will develop. There's stuff that happens with them. So yeah, I'm very, very nervous about it, but also very excited. And I feel a little bit more energized this time around working on it because, again, I feel like my practice with the other comics has really helped me with this. I have a bit more confidence and I'm just excited to create something that's a bit more longer form. So I've been working on pages at least every weekend. I've been doing some updates every week. I post my first page, the pages right when they're done for my members. So if you'd like to access these pages as I finish them before anyone else, you can, consider signing up, becoming a member. I've moved on from Patreon maybe a couple months ago now, so I am running all of my support stuff, that kind of patronage through my own website. Check it out if you're interested. I put a lot of downloadables there. I do blog posts if I come up with a good idea for a blog post, and I upload all the my zines and comics there first. Anyway, so there's that. But I do upload both on Tapas Comics and Webtoon if you have accounts on those. They're both pretty good. I've started with Tapas and I like their UI a little bit more than Webtoon, but maybe I'm biased because I've started with them. I have a bunch of comics up on there. So yeah, whatever app works for you. I also could not help it. I started a Blogger. I've been using Blogger or Blogspot for a long time too, since I guess I've been using it since I've created Spice Cake. That was where I posted some of the few pages in the very beginning. There was also Smack Jeeves, I think is what it was called. These old webcomic websites when webcomics were all the rage, and they still are. But yeah, I will link all the places where you can read the comics in the description box. It's only on Tapas is where I might be able to get some ad revenue, because they have this whole thing where artists, if they get enough views, they can get revenue from their comics. I'm totally not there yet, but on Webtoon, it's also if you reach a number of people reading your comic, subscribers or something, you can get into their payment program, which is really cool. It provides that opportunity for artists, especially in a place working with comics where it's hard to make any kind of revenue. Really difficult. So there's that motivation, but I just want to share at this point. I am planning on hope if this keeps going and I can create like a little maybe volume 1 of Spice Cake, that would be really cool. But I haven't thought about that yet. I did think about the sizing though. I have started these pages in a way where if they do end up getting printed, if I do decide to print them out, they will be at that resolution where I can. And I've decided to work on it in complete black and white. I have been coloring Stella's lips red. I kind of do that a lot. I really like isolating certain colors, especially lips. I don't know, I really like how it looks. But yeah, I've decided to go with black and white. At first I was doing full color. Before I started, really redoing the first few pages, I looked at a lot of web comics on Tapas and on Webtoon. A lot of them are structured like a web comic where you can endlessly scroll and everything is kind of connected, which is really nice. A lot of them are like really high quality, like full colored, shaded, everything. And I really didn't know what to do. I was like, I kind of want to do the whole, full color route, make it look really nice, but I wouldn't be able to keep up with the amount of updates. Like I would just, if I did go the full color route, it would take me at least 2 weeks to finish up a page, maybe even more. So, and for me, I like pumping out a lot of stuff just because it makes me feel happy when I finish something. And if I spend too long on one thing, I tend to get bored or disheartened because I'm putting all this work for pretty much no return. And if I finish something quickly, my return is the satisfaction. So in the end, ultimately, I decided to go with the more black scale, black and white, gray scale. I'm using a lot of like Photoshop, like halftone and brushes that I've downloaded in my Photoshop a long time ago, like these manga stamps and manga brushes. I've had them for so long when I started Spice Cake that first time around. So I'm using them again. I'm experimenting a lot with these screen tones. So as you can see, I'm working on like the screen tone here behind Stella, and I really like it. It's kind of this brings me into another thing where as I discover more patterns and more screen tones, the style is gonna change. And again, if I continue doing this and I make a lot of pages, the style will also change too. Sometimes when I'm reading through comics on Tapastic, I feel kind of sad that I didn't go the full color route, but again, I know that I won't be able to keep up with the amount of work I want to do if I decide to go the full color route. Because I have other projects that I want to work on, and I also work in an office, so it's like I really need to think about my balance here. So I'm going all out with the patterns and the screen tones and stuff like that. I'm trying to download new brushes that I can find to keep up, to make it look nice, at least in black and white. Plus, if I do end up printing it, it'll be a little cheaper than full color, and I do like the look of it. I think it's great. What do you guys think? Should I have gone the full color route? I'm kind of compensating by working on little vanity illustrations or vanity pages between pages, or between, I guess, chapters or something. So far, I have no chapters yet. I just have these like short little episodes after the first few pages of introducing these two characters. So, anyway, I was working on this little vanity page, which I'll show you at this point, just a little quick peek. I was working on this on a stream. I have been streaming for the last 2 Thursdays, so I will probably be streaming this coming Thursday on Twitch. I'll leave a link down below to my channel if you'd like to come by. I usually stream around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and it's gonna be probably a lot of Spice Cake illustrations and Spice Cake pages, just because it's easier for me to stream digitally than I can traditionally. So yeah, if you'd like to check out that stream, I'll leave a link to the Twitch down below. Okay, so I think I talked a little bit about Spice Cake. Let me quickly talk about the page that I'm working on. So I didn't show the sketching part, or I didn't record the sketching part, because usually the sketching, like the rougher sketches, take a long time. So once I did the the sketches you saw me do the final line art, I guess. So now I'm just doing the bubbles. So that's pretty much the process, I guess. I don't script. I have never scripted. I tried, I think, in the very beginning when I was starting out my comics, but I like to jump in to the thumbnails and then to the finals. So yeah, sometimes I do write some notes on my phone, like on the note app, if I have an idea for dialogue and it's very rough. I can show you a picture of like my planning for one of the pages here. So yeah, I don't usually script. It's worked out for me. Maybe in the future my method might change and I might end up scripting something, but yeah, it's the way I work is pretty quick, which can be a little bit of a detriment maybe sometimes, but I think I make it work. It's okay. I really like how I did the pizza on here. So this comic will have a lot of food, just because food is something that I like to draw and like to think about, like to plan, I like to look at and eat. So there's gonna be food, there's gonna be comedy, at least I think. What's gonna be funny, you know, Ranma has a lot of slapstick. I really enjoyed the slapstick in that and just the expressions of the characters. So I try to incorporate a lot of like expressions in this if I can. I remember when I was reading the manga comics, the manga, I would read it and then I would like draw certain poses from the characters, because the drawing style is just so good, and the way Rumiko draws women it's so pretty. And I think I haven't read Ranma in a long time, that's why I was considering buying a couple volumes, but I'm pretty sure there might be some problematic elements in it nowadays, but I don't know, that comic is really close to my heart. It's just so fun. And I remember even copying some of the gestures, the expressions in that manga in one of my, like when I used to draw mangas as a kid or comics as a kid. Anyway, I'm using some of the stamps I have here. They're so cute. I tend to go overboard sometimes with stamps. You can see, I think in the what would you call this? The 4th and the 5th panel with Stella and Abbott eating the pizza. I kind of feel like I crowded those panels too much with the patterns, but yeah, I try to rein it back sometimes, but sometimes it's just too fun to add all these like different effects. Anyway, we are towards the end of the video now. Actually, I've been talking for quite a while. Sorry if I sound kind of like stuttery. Again, hopefully if I continue making these videos, I will be less stuttery. I guess, what would you like me to talk about? Would you like me to continue these videos? If you have any questions about the comic, or maybe more specific questions about my process throughout YouTube, especially doing art videos, I get a lot of repetitive questions, unfortunately. So if I do get a question from you guys that I've answered many times, I'm sorry, I might not reply to those, because it's usually like, what program do you use? Like stuff like that. What are your inspirations? I've talked about my inspirations so many times, so I'm sorry if you ask that and I don't answer it. But if you have any other specific questions, I would be, happy to answer them, and maybe more broad topics that you'd like me to talk about. I'll try to. Sometimes I doubt myself and I'm like, I can't answer that question because I'm not qualified to, but Joy, at least try, Yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this quick speed paint. It's sort of quick, it's like 20 minutes, this video. If you'd like to see more, I'd really love to know that. And again, I will be streaming this Thursday on Twitch at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and the streams get archived, so if you miss it, you can watch the stream. They usually run for 2 hours because that's my limit for streaming. But yeah, I look forward to sharing more of Spice Cake with you guys. So if you'd like to give it a read, I will leave the links for the comics down below. It'll also be on Blogspot if you like that as well. I'm gonna try updating that, and if you'd like to support me, I will leave the link to my sign up members area in the description box down below too. So this is the final page. Looks pretty cute, I think, especially that pizza. That pizza looks so good right now. And yeah, again, I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh yeah, here I wanted to show you where the comics are. So this one is, what is this? This is Tapas. So you can see the little thing there and how many people are subscribed and are following, and how it looks. It looks really nice the way they lay out webcomics. So I wanted to show you that. And then this one is Webtoon, so it looks a little different, very similar but different. And then I'll show you there how many people are following and subscribed. And again, it has that like nice endless scroll thing. So yeah, and here are my members. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm not sure what it will be, but thanks for watching. Bye.